Hello there and welcome back to the Pride of Villa, and of course it starts with those Champions League nights, and what a way to start for Aston Villa. Young Boys 0, Aston Villa 3. Aston Villa secure a dominant 3 points in Switzerland tonight, and overall what an absolutely great way to introduce yourself back into the competition and a way to kick off what's hopefully going to be a good run for Aston Villa in the Champions League. Obviously going into this game there's a lot of anticipation, a lot of hype. Obviously, you know, Aston Villa, it's the first time they've been in the Champions League for a very long time. Obviously, you know, how they're going to perform. We've seen some of the games that we're going to be playing up against the likes of Bayern Munich, Juventus, Celtic. There's some good names that we're going to be playing, but obviously we start off tonight with an away game at Switzerland against Young Boys, who, you know, going into it, we were probably given as the favourites for the game. And ultimately tonight we've gone out there, we've done a really professional performance, pretty much starting with the same team that started the game against Everton, but obviously I think there was one or two more changes in there. But overall it's a strong, dominant team lineup going into it, and it really showed. I think for the first 10-15 minutes we were obviously starting a little bit slow. Obviously you've got to get used to the game, get used to your opponents. It's also the fact that we're playing on an AstroTurf pitch as opposed to the grass pitches that we used to back in England. You know, it's about getting used to that, a different way of play. But obviously, settle into the game, and I think we're going to really start to grow into it. Like, it was a bit panicky at first. Obviously, passes were going a bit awry here and there. But like I said, when you get into the game, when you understand the team you're playing against, the rhythm of flow, that's going to be played from them, and you're like, okay, this is what we need to do to break them down and get through them. Then you start to see Villa grow into the game, and that's what we did. We grew into it, and then obviously after the 27th minute mark, Villa started off really well with a great set-piece goal, to be fair to him. Hugh Tielemans banging it into that bottom corner, kicking off the goals and getting them right into the mindset for Aston Villa tonight. And from there, it just pretty much was all Villa. It was just attempt after attempt after attempt. We then go and get our second goal of the game, some brilliant play. Brilliant... you know, closing down from Ollie Watkins as well, from some rather sloppy play. You'd think from Young Boys, you've just conceded a really poor goal from a set piece. You'd want to maintain your shape and composure going into the, you know, closing moments of the first half. And yet we close them down, and then Jacob Ramsey, Villa graduate, is able to go and get his second goal for the game. Obviously, Villa then continued to dominate. We had the third goal as well from Ollie Watkins, which was questionably brought out, but we'll get to that in a bit. And then obviously, second half, just the one change I believe was made, obviously bringing off Lamar Bogard for Diego Carlos, a bit of a tactical change there. So obviously, we could see Bogard was kind of physically getting a bit outmatched in the game. That was probably one of the weaker areas or weak points of the game tonight. If we're looking at players individually, Bogard just not being there. But in fairness to him, that's what you get when you don't have as much experience as your fellow peers around you. And then obviously we go back into the second half. A little bit slow, we didn't have as much as the momentum, but I think in fairness, for me personally watching it, it felt like we'd already done the damage in the first half, and it wasn't really feeling like Young Boys were going to score. They were growing into it, sure, and they were giving themselves some better chances. But ultimately at once, I didn't sit there and feel like, okay, we're going to concede here. You know, Diego Carlos made some pretty questionable challenges, some pretty questionable defending. But again, you know, it still didn't make me sit there and feel like, oh God, we're going to concede here. Obviously then we go and get our third goal of the game through Amadou Onana. A brilliant goal from him. And then obviously just prior to that we had the Jadon Duran goal. And overall tonight, I think one of the bigger talk points coming out of it, apart from the 3-0, is the handballs. Now, first and foremost, Ollie Watkins one, I don't understand the handball at all. It's hit his chest around here. You can clearly see it even from commentary. They were saying they don't even understand it, because the commentary they've been shown shows it from this side. I think, for me personally, they've probably been shown the angle from his back, and I've just made an assumption from there. But yet the referee isn't sent to go to the screen. However, Jadon Duran's goal, again, it's, you know, for me, that is a handball. Fair enough. It's a bit far back into the game, but again, that's pretty much that key. If that handball doesn't happen, the real... Obviously, Villa don't get the momentum and are able to make that, you know, play happen in the game. But obviously, they get the handball there. And then they send the referee to the screen. So it's like, why are you sending him to that one, where it's a bit more blatantly obvious it's a handball, as opposed to the other one, which is a bit, you know, more difficult to understand, more difficult to see whether he did handball it. It just doesn't really make a bit of sense. Like, the referee, I felt also tonight, apart from the first few minutes where I thought it was a little bit shaky, I thought he was actually a really fair referee in the well, giving it to both ends, and obviously, you know, making the right decisions. But it's just in those two, you're like, that is questionable. And then obviously there was a penalty challenge, but that didn't really come much of fruition because it wasn't really handball. And then ultimately Villa secured out the game, bringing on some substitutes to refresh them, and overall get the 3 points there. And it's a great start. It's a great way to reintroduce yourself to the team. Obviously, given the news that happened with Gary Shaw last night, it's a great way for Villa to make a statement in the Champions League and really do that against a team that, you know, again, we probably were the favourites going into it and wasn't seen as much as competition. But given who we have got next coming up in this competition, and obviously what Villa would like to try and achieve this year, you know, it's all about setting an example, and I think Villa did that tonight perfectly well indeed. Like I said, just a few talking points really for me personally. Players like Lamar Bogard, you know, I can understand why you wouldn't want to go for a right back, but I think it was particularly needed and shown tonight as well. That, you know, again, it comes with experience, but for me, we need something a bit more, you know, be a solution that can fit in right now, because I just don't think Bogard is that personally. Diego Carlos is just an accident waiting to happen at that point, but again, you know, in fairness to him, he did put in a really good shoulder tackle and managed to keep them assured in the defensive line there. Ollie Watkins, again, obviously not scoring tonight, but Jaden Duran, you know, he should have scored. You know, you can easily make that case there. It'll be interesting to see what he's going to try and do, but he needs to get some form out of Ollie Watkins because we need to see that level of consistency from him. You know, if Jaden Duran's able to do what he's doing right now and he's coming off the bench, we need our main starting striker to be firing on all cylinders. And also, like I said, I just would have liked to see a little bit more squad rotation change. Maatsen, I would have liked to see him play tonight. You know, he was one of the best players in the Champions League last season for Borussia Dortmund. I don't personally think we needed to play Jacob Ramsey tonight. Oh yeah, it's a good game. I'd have liked to see someone like Buendia come on, or maybe even Philogene as well. Give some of those players like the chance to play. But really, I can't complain as much. Great result for Aston Villa tonight. 3 points. It's a great way to get started in the Champions League. Let us know in the comments down below what your thoughts are. But without further ado, we'll see you for the next game. Up the Villa with the Euro Mighty Villa. We'll see you later, boys.